Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, we're going to take a look at fine-tuning. So fine-tuning allows us to take something like that would be a very large prompt document and tell our LLM to bake that stuff in so that it works more efficiently. Hopefully that makes sense. And technically, as of this video, GPT-4 Mini is on Azure, but I don't think it's ready for fine-tuning. So OpenAI lets you do it in their platform, but not necessarily in here. So we're going to be using an older model for fine-tuning, which is totally fine. And we're going to go into Sweden because we know reliably that we can fine-tune in Sweden. There was also announcement of the cost, and so fine-tuning does not take as long as it used to, and it's not as expensive as it used to. In the previous video for the RAG AI search video, we went over those prices, but if you're not comfortable with the cost, you don't have to worry about it. You can just watch me do it. But let's make our way over to AI Studio. You can probably also do this in the OpenAI Studio, but I'm going to go to AI Studio since it's newer, Azure AI Studio. And I want to go to the one that is in Sweden. So we have Sweden Central. So I'm going to just click over into any of these here and get into the Launch Studio. There we go. So we'll give it a moment. And if we go over to model catalog, there are specific models that we can fine tune. So I believe we can fine tune GPT Turbo 3.5, 3.5, Babbage, and other ones. So let's look at fine tuning, pricing, change, Azure, OpenAI. Let's see if we can find that here. Here it is. This was just back in June. And so we have Babbage, DaVinci 3.5 Turbo or 3.5 Turbo. And here you can see the cost with Babbage being the lowest, right? So let's say we wanted to train Babbage. We can give that a go. So what I want to do here is I'm in Sweden because I know that one's reliable. I want to make sure we have that model deployed. So let's go look for Babbage. And so Babbage is a completion model. It is not necessarily a chat model, so it's really up to you what you want to utilize. I mean, we could also do Turbo. Let me just take a look at the cost again. Yeah, this is really, really inexpensive. So I think I really want to attempt to train Babbage. Hopefully this is available to you in the future. And so we'll give this a moment here. And so all we have is standard, which is fine. And we'll go ahead and deploy that. And I'm just going to go back to the model catalog and read a little bit more about it. I just want to see if there's anything that I need to know about. Like, are they getting rid of it at any point? Hopefully not. It's smaller than primary models. Yeah, they're not talking about getting rid of them, so I think that's totally okay. Let's go down to our deployments, make sure that that is available. It is. We're going to go over to completions because we can't use it in chat. And let's give it a go and see what it does. So we'll just say, hello, and then it will generate more text. Hello, I'm a 3D artist and I have a studio in Germany. So the idea is that because Babbage is doing auto-completion, we can provide it training data so that it will reliably create data that we want. So we have to think about something that we want it to do, right? And so this is something that I'm trying to think about, because if you're trying to train a model, you need to have a certain amount of data, and you might have to synthesize some training data. So I'm going to go here and look for Babbage fine-tuning training data set and see if we can find something that we could utilize. Okay, so give me a moment and see if I can find anything, okay? So yeah, I'm not sure, but if we have this reply, maybe we can give it kind of a style of a way it speaks. So, you know, I am writing to you. We'll generate this here. And we see, I'm writing to you to inform you that we have received the scholarship. So basically it's kind of like it's writing a letter. And so maybe there's a way that we could synthesize some data that is going to be something that we can utilize for our training data. So that's one thing. The other thing is, like, what format does this data have to be in, right? So we know that if we want to train, we're going to have to upload data here first. So if I remember how this works, we go to fine tuning, and we're going to say we want to fine tune a model. And here we have Babbage, which is a completion model. And we'll go continue. And here we have the model suffix. And then we have our OpenAI connection, model 1. And I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And so this is what we need to figure out is our training data. Okay, so let's find out how we need to prepare that. It's asking for JSON-L. We've had a lot of trouble with JSON-L. I'm not sure when, but I just know we have. And so I'm looking for an example. Here's some Babbage right here. So here it says the training validation must be formatted in JSON-L. OpenAI command line interface includes a data preparation tool that validates and gives suggestions and reformats of the training data in the JSON-L. Okay, so that seems really interesting. So what I'm going to do is copy this over here. I'm going to go over to ChatGPT. I have a lot of LLM subscriptions here. And so I'm going to paste this in here. I'm just going to say, I need to create fine-tuning training data for Babbage. So I need to generate a JSON-L file following this format. I want to train the model to be rude and have spelling mistakes when performing completion. Can you create me a JSON-L file with prompts and completions? Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and ask ChatGPT to do that. So here it's not really doing what we want. So like, Babbage is not a chat, but it's completion. So the completion needs to continue on the prompt. Please try again. It didn't understand. It thinks it's doing a conversation. Okay. Yeah, generate more as much as you can. Okay. All right, we'll see what we'll get. I'll give it a moment here to generate out, okay? All right, so it's saying it's generated an additional file here. Let's go ahead and download it. I'm going to go ahead and open this here. So I'm going to go here and just open this up in VS Code. Let's take a look at our training data here. I was trying to do something else. And so we have some data here. It's not a lot of data, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Or, I'm going to upload this over to Sonnet, because Sonnet's doing a better job these days. Claude, Sonnet. Let's go over to here. And I'm going to go into here. Just give me a moment here to get it open. And so I've uploaded my JSON-L file. I need to create more training data based on the JSON-L file. The purpose, the goal is to fine-tune Babbage to complete text that is rude and has spelling mistakes. Please create more training data for me. Okay, so hopefully it understands, and we'll give it a moment there. I mean, it's not really, it's pretend rude. Okay. Oh, come on. So it says, I apologize, I don't feel comfortable generating or assisting the creation of intentionally rude, insulting, or error-filled content. Even if it means it meant to be pretend or training purposes, perhaps we could be more constructive. Okay, well, what other ideas do you have? Frickin' Sonnet. And this is not very helpful. Let's see. I need a completion training data set for Babbage. So could we train it for classification? Maybe it can help us try to figure out a data set here. Okay, so here what it's doing is, what are we seeing here? So the data provides a variety of classification tasks that Babbage can be trained on. So we have sentiment analysis, text of genre classification, fact versus opinion, question versus statement, movie genre classification, grammar. I'm not sure if I trust with grammar. Number classification, parts of speech, categorizes emotion, feeling butterflies. So first I just want to see, like, if I was to do this, what would it produce? Like, do we even need it to do that? Let's go over back to, bring this down here below. And I just want to see what happens if I'm just going to cancel this out for a second. And let's go back to our completion and try this. And so here it's making a big mess, right? So determine if this word is a noun, a verb, or an adjective, or an adverb. Categorize this emotion. Feeling butterflies in your stomach. Categorize the animal as mammal, reptile, bird, or fish. You know, I kind of like this one. And I want to just make one change here. I'm just going to do this and then put a colon and see what happens. Yeah, so we're getting a mess of things. So maybe we'll do this. We'll just have this categorization of an animal and based on those. Okay, so I'm going to go back here and say, great, let's make training data for animal classification. In the prompt, make sure it ends with a colon in the string, colon with the string. Okay. And so I think it just should have a colon on the end there. Let's see what it can do. And so there's a good start. I'm going to need a lot more data than that. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to say, like, can you format the file to be can you format the document for JSON-L? So per line instead of so many line breaks. Okay, because right now it's not formatting for JSON-L. There we go, that's a lot better. And I'm going to go over here and make a new file. I'm doing this off screen in Visual Studio Code, so I have it over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab this. Okay. And I'm going to say here, okay, great, give me more training data. Generate another file with different data for the same purpose, for classification. Great, give me more training data in a new file. Great, so let's see if we can do that. Hopefully it doesn't repeat anything. I don't think it will. So far, it doesn't look like anything's been repeated. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to say, again, more data. And hopefully we're not getting, oh, are we getting repeated data? Looks like repeated data. Okay, we just have to be careful here because it might produce identical data, which is fine. But I don't want any identical data. And then I'll go here. Oops. And so I have about 55 lines. I'm hoping that's enough to train it. I don't know how much we need, to be honest, but we will give this a go. File, save as, and I'm going to name this to my desktop. This is going to be animal classification, JSONL. Great, and so I've saved that file. I'm assuming that it's fine, but they did say that there was some kind of tool that we should use for classification. See, the more training, the minimum is 10 examples, but a small example is not enough. Best practice is to at least have 50 high-quality examples. However, it's entirely possible that it might require 1,000. So we don't know how much it's going to require, but we have something to work with, right? And then here they're suggesting whether we want to adjust it. Okay, and I'm just going to assume that our data is fine there. I'm going to put this into our repo so you can get access to it. Okay. Press period here, and I'll just make a new folder here. And we'll make a new folder, and we'll call this fine tuning. And I'm just going to drag on that file over. I've had so many problems with these JSONL files, but hopefully this time it will work. And so we're going to go back over to here to fine tuning. We're going to fine tune our model. We're going to choose Babbage. We're going to hit continue. This will be animal fine tuning. Maybe AN AN classification. Animal class here. There we go. And class. Next. I want to just upload the file directly if I can. So I'm going to go ahead and upload that now. And I'm just uploading that file. We'll give it a moment. All right, and so we've uploaded our file. And there's our data. Let's go ahead and hit next. Select data set to personalize your model or adopt JSON. So do we have to have a validation data? I'm going to try with none, but it seems like that would be a good idea to have that. Select a data set to personalize your model. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next. I'm going to leave it all alone because I have no idea how to tweak those. We're going to hit submit, and we're going to wait for that training to finish, and we'll be back here when it's done, okay? All right, so we were back, and let's see how long it took. So I know that this started at 2:44, right? Oh, that's when it started the training. And the thing is that it did take a while. I want to say like an hour and a half. Let's see if we get a refresh. Does it tell us? And, oh, okay, so down below here. Oh, we got to literally go to the next page. So we started training at 2:44. And I'm assuming that these are each epoch of its training. Okay. And it succeeded at 3:25. So what, an hour? 2:43. Shy of an hour. And of course, our data set was really small. So the question is, will it work well? I have no idea. So let's go ahead and deploy our model. So I'm trying to think where this is, as it's a little bit different when you're using this versus OpenAI Studio. I think there's some variations there. So here we have the option to deploy. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy this. And I'm not sure if we have to have it on compute. Oh, it looks like we can do standard, so that's pretty cool. And this is that. So we'll go ahead and deploy that. Give that a moment there. It says this model has been retired. You may consider using a suggested replacement model. And so they're maybe talking about the underlying model. Obviously, this one's not immediately retired. So Babbage, retirement June 14th, 2024. It is past that date. These models are no longer available for new deployments. Deployments created before 23rd or after the 24th will be here. Okay, but what does that mean? Does that mean I can't deploy? Because clearly I'm doing this. But yeah, I would just say, obviously, if you run into this issue, that model might not be model might be unavailable, and so you'll just have to find whatever the new one is, like Turbo 35 or whatever. So, but again, I was trying to be the most cost effective here, and so I chose it based on that. And so hopefully you're not running into that problem. It's unfortunate that the retirement date is so close to that. So I have to wait for this to finish provisioning. So hopefully it doesn't fail. And it's creating, so we'll just wait until it's done, okay? Oh, and by the way, I'm still waiting for its deployment, so it's taking quite a long time. I'm not sure if it has to do with it being an older model, but I'm gonna have to wait here and see what happens, okay? Down below here, it says model retirement date, January 2nd, 2025. So technically, it seems like this one should be able to keep around, but I mean, we could take a look and see if it's actually available. So if we go over to, completions. It is here. So I guess my question is, if it's here, but it's still creating, can we use it? And there's only one way to find out, and that will be to use some of our training data. So I'm going to go find wherever Visual Studio Code was. So I have it down here. And I'm going to grab one of these. So I'm going to grab the crocodile one. It should identify it as a reptile. Okay. I'm going to go paste this in and hit generate and see what happens. It says the API deployment is not ready for the resource. Wait. And so I guess we'll just be waiting a while, okay? All right, so it's been taking a long time for this to deploy. I can see other people are saying that they've waited 5 hours. Let's go take a look at notifications and see what information we have, because maybe it's told us that it's deployed. No new information under notifications. It'd be good to see the previous notifications. So yeah, I'm not really sure. It doesn't seem like it should take this long to deploy. Oh, are you joking? As soon as I was talking about it finished? Well, that's probably because I was starting to come close to deleting it, so that's good that it actually did that. Let's go back over to our endpoint. It did take quite a while, though. Not like an hour, but long enough that it was making myself question whether it was going to be done. So again, just going to copy a random line out of here. Now, it should be smart enough to, I'm hoping that it'll just produce reptile here. And the one thing you have to understand when you're doing fine-tuning is that if you provide too much fine-tuning information, you can end up over-tuning or overfitting the data, and that means that it's not becomes less creative in terms of being able to reply. But let's see what happens. So we have so that it's like colon and then colon again. I didn't really plan for that, so I'm going to go ahead and do this and see what happens. Fingers crossed that it worked. And I mean, I guess it's better than before. But it's not producing just that one word reply. It's going amphibian, frog, reptile. Oh, you know what it is? We're on the wrong model. Okay, we're on the wrong model. So that would explain it. And we'll switch over to our new one. And can we switch over to it? There we go. And so let's see what happens if we try it now. So that the other one's obviously was not Babbage. This one is. And so it's going reptile, and that is what we want to happen next. Now it's producing a lot more information that we want. And so again, maybe more training data would help it to prevent that, or it could be the temperature. So let's say we brought the temperature down. And I like to bring the temperature all the way down. Let's see what happens if we do this. So we'll put that in here. And the answer is, in this case, reptile, not amphibian. See, here would be amphibian. But we'll see what happens if we do this. And I mean, technically it's correct. It's doing reptile, but we, again, are getting too much information. So stop sequence. This would be make the responses stop at a desired point, such as the end of a sentence. Specify up to 4 sequences here. So this might be useful if we could figure out a stop sequence, but I think we would have to train it to have like period or something, and then when it issued out a period, it would know to stop. But it looks like it's technically working. So let's go and test this with something else. So I'm just trying to think of an animal that might not be on here. And I'm not sure if they have like woodpecker in here. Do we have woodpecker? I don't think so. So let's go ahead and see what happens. We'll say woodpecker. And we would go on the end here and generate it out. And we get bird. So it's good, except for the fact that it is, again, overproducing information. And I think the only way we'd be able to fix that is more training data. So it could be it needs 100. It could be that it needs 1,000. But we're able to do this. So we achieved our goal in a sense that it can identify it. I'm not going to retrain it because it's so much work to train. But you get an idea of like what you'd have to do to really get it there. Okay. So I would say that we are done here and we can go ahead and clean this up. Now, I'm not sure if it costs anything to have this deployment. So I don't think it does because it's serverless. Let's go take a look here. And it says standard. So that means that it's going to consume tokens. So I'm not really concerned about it right now. It's not going to cause us any issues. I'm not going to clean this up right now in case I want to keep it around. But in the cleanup video, we'll get rid of it all. If you want to get rid of it, you can. I don't think I'm going to plan on using it, but I'm just going to keep it around just in case. And I'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.